Future Hacker. Life. Path. Future.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Future Hacker. I'm your host, Maria Taiji, and today we are talking to Vivek Singhal. Vivek is the co-founder and chief data scientist of CellStrat, an artificial intelligence startup at the forefront of developing advanced AI developer tools and cloud-based APIs for millions of developers globally. Recently, his company created FreedomGPT, an open-source AI language model similar to ChatGPT, but with a unique focus on ensuring freedom of expression without censorship, according to their claims. This model was developed in collaboration with their client, AI Capital venture firm. Hello, Vivek. It's amazing to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Maria. Thanks for having me here.
So, Vivek, it's great that we're finally talking about that. You know, generative AI has been on the spotlight for a couple of months already. But, we were just searching for the right approach. We were waiting for some debates and to see its development. And as I understand from our initial conversation, you've been working on this area for a long time, and you've been building this community around AI developers until the generative AI boom thanks to ChatGPT popularity, right? So can you please begin by telling us about this journey of yours of, building this community for such a long time and what you have accomplished so far?
Sure. So great question. So, we have been at this for almost 4 to 5 years. And we started with courses and community, and when we chanced across AI and machine learning, we realized this is going to be a big area. And so we saw the power of AI a few years back and started doing a lot of research and webinars and community in this space. And so we realized that this is going to change the world. So I guess now we are in a good place at a good time, I would say, and it is breaking out because of ChatGPT. So we have been sort of waiting for this moment for many years now, and we are very pleased to see the AI revolution taking off, and in a sort of a good position to capture the opportunity globally. So we have been patiently building a community for last 5 years, and training a lot of people in this space. And now we have the bulwark of our community to help us with AI disruption globally and help our clients launch generative AI solutions easily and efficiently. And we are very excited about the space today.
So I think that maybe it was just the perfect move when it was made available to the public, right? Because now companies are kind of forced to see that, okay, right now I have to be paying attention to that. And that's because it got available to the public, and the pressure is coming from the market. How do you see this movement?
Yeah, so we have seen and we have heard from other community leaders that a technological movement starts with some kind of UI revolution. So think of the Netscape Navigator moment in early 90s, and that started the internet boom and democratized the concept of internet. Then another moment was the iPhone moment. And then suddenly people realize the power of smart mobility and the App Store, and thousands and billions of apps were created. And now we have the Chat GPT, a new UI. So now we like to say chat is the new app, right? So we had the App Store. Now we like to say chat is the new app. So now everybody is sort of interested in adding a chat interface to everything. Almost every application on the planet is thinking about it right now. And every company on the planet is thinking about it right now. So there is a mandate from the CEO or the executive team to look at how this generative AI is going to disrupt their business. Is it a threat or an opportunity or both? Right. So every company is delving deep into it. So it's a very exciting time in AI indeed.
That's definitely. So you mentioned you've been building your community for 4 years. So where are you right now? Like, how many people do you have involved?
So we have a community of more than 15,000 AI researchers. And we have created this community very patiently with lots of hard work by doing a lot of webinars, a lot of evangelism, content marketing, and producing a lot of blogs and YouTube videos in this space. and working with a lot of colleges as well, particularly coming from India. So that's how we are now ready to take on this opportunity with help of a massive community. And the problem with AI is that it's changing rapidly. Every week, new kind of advances are happening, new algorithms are being launched. And so it's difficult for a small group or company or individual to keep pace with the pace of technological change, the algorithmic change. So we as a community are able to tackle it because we are constantly learning, constantly teaching each other, and constantly creating new content around the latest state of the art algorithms.
Yeah, the power of community and collaboration, and that's how the future is heading as well, right? So, we usually emphasize here, Future Hacker, the meaning of and the importance of fostering diversity within teams responsible for developing algorithms, AI solutions, and technological advancements to ensure inclusivity, especially when detecting and trying to avoid bias. So I'd like to discuss with you the feasibility of such an approach and whether your company actively seeks to diversify its workforce. So do you believe diversity is attainable, and is your company pursuing it as well?
Yes, indeed. So it's a very, very important question for our global society. We are very, aware of this problem that science and technology has been unfortunately a male-centric word for many, many years, but we do see increasingly women and then people of different backgrounds participating in engineering or science education. So I think it has become much more diverse in general in technology, and in AI per se, we are cognizant of this fact. So while we may not be doing very active affirmative action on this regard, but by default, we do have a substantial number of diverse candidates in our community from various countries around the world, and irrespective of gender, community, and other differentiation factors. But yes, we always propagate this idea of a responsible AI, right? So we cannot be training AI as data scientists, which will bias towards one community or the other, or gender bias or religious bias or other kind of biases. Because the one weakness of AI is it is only as intelligent as the data it is trained on. So we consciously take care of trying to balance our data sets and making sure that it is representative of various communities and backgrounds and not focused. But that said, a lot more work remains in this area. I'm not saying it has been solved. And companies like OpenAI, which launched ChatGPT, they also actively had diverse people in the with the reinforcement learning with human feedback or human in the loop algorithmic training, where they try to make sure that it answers variety of questions and is not biased in any way, community biased and so forth.
It's super challenging, right? Especially because when talking about diversity, we have the very basic level, which is what you mentioned, that is gender, like having more women and different cultures, people from all around the world, different backgrounds, but also involving different areas of expertises, right? So maybe philosophy, sociology, psychology, to access and mitigate unintended consequences that may arise from the program's use. So do you see this movement? So I do see companies trying to get not only more women and cultural backgrounds, but do you already see also this movement of companies getting those different areas of expertises, like the ones that I mentioned in philosophy and sociology, or is it still new to those types of communities?
Yeah, I think the technological companies are aware of the need for diversity and having cross-sectional thought leadership from those other areas you mentioned also. But more work definitely remains to be done in this space. And recently, Sam Altman was summoned by the U.S. Congress, I believe, because they wanted to make sure that this AI is going to be a responsible AI, and it represents various viewpoints and thoughts, and it is respectful of the history or diversity of humanity, and also going forward, it will be done in a very ethical and responsible manner. I'm not saying this has been completely solved, but a lot more work remains. But as a community, we in my startup at least we try to bring various kinds of thoughts from cross-functional domains and experts, and not just be talking to the tech folks, but talking to the management folks, the arts and history folks, and seeing how this relates to humanity, other aspects in general, the human evolution, or the psychology, or the diversity, or the history. We want to make sure things are aligned and not just a very deep tech focus only.
Yes, perfect. And I like that you mentioned the legislation part as well. And when we first talked, and you're just explaining me, how different it is, the differences between ChatGPT and FreedomGPT, and I remember that you told me that you can download and it's free of censorship. When you said it's free of censorship, I got like your perspective was very intriguing to me. Because while this idea is initially seems daunting, you express that you believe that decisions regarding censorship should not solely rest with company owners, and which I completely agree. Instead, you emphasize the importance of education, awareness, and legislation as crucial factors, which is their points that we're always talking about, how society have to be included and how people needs to be educated. However, considering our current state, our current progress, it just appears that we might not be moving as fast as enough to really today safeguard individuals and provide lawmakers with the necessary understanding to make informed choices. So how do you perceive already having available to the public something that is free of censorship, and our current educational level and our legislators, educational level? How do you perceive the readiness of both public and governments to navigate this? Like, from your point, what steps can be taken to strike a balance between fostering innovation and protecting individuals in this evolving AI landscape?
Excellent question. So it's a very sensitive question as well. What is happening is that technological advancement is moving at a faster pace than what the government or the regulators or the society can understand and absorb and understand the implication. So there is perceptible danger of AI technology, which even the main leaders like Sam Altman of OpenAI have in fact admitted that there's a danger of AI. And recently we saw the father of deep learning, Professor Geoffrey Hinton. He left Google, and he has sort of given some statements which are saying that AI is a dangerous technology, and he now has second thoughts about his innovations in this space. So it's a wide debatable topic. There are dangers of technology becoming much too powerful, and then regulators or the government not having a sight of it or understanding how it may impact the society. So as far as Freedom GPT versus Chat GPT goes, that's again a very sensitive and debatable political topic. That Chat GPT, I believe, the conservatives call it a liberally biased tool, and it has certain guardrails which the conservatives don't care for, from what I understand of global geopolitics, or global political figures. But really, the Freedom GPT, which we developed for our client Age of AI Capital LLC, based in Austin, it was asked to be an uncensored chatbot, which we developed as an AI vendor to our client. And as far as my personal opinion goes in this, it is all about. It's just very hard. I do agree with my client here that a company cannot be policing what should or should not be given as an output, because a company doesn't have enough bandwidth or expertise or domain expertise to be the police of what is ethical and what is not, right? So it has to be a mix of some responsible AI from companies or enterprises, and also some amount of or good amount of government regulation. So AI industry itself is asking the governments to regulate. So that is pretty good behavior from the private companies that where people like OpenAI and many others, they are going to the government and they are recommending regulation instead of fighting regulation. So that's a good move. So that means maybe in a long time, technology industry has been at a in crosshairs of the government. But this time for AI companies, we do see they are trying to work with the government and work in creating regulation around it so that it can be done in a responsible way. And I do agree that one company trying to decide the policing aspects of it is a bit of a overhead, and it's probably not the right way because company doesn't have the purview of what should be the right or wrong thing to be included in AI.
Yeah, and thinking about it, it is indeed a very complex debate because when we talk about regulation, it's usually per country, right? And it can get very dangerous when you have a couple of countries following regulations and others not. And this is something that should be common to everybody because that's where the danger stands, right? Some people following some rules and others without any safeguards, it's still be developed and it's still going to have a global reach. So somehow we need to find a common ground that humanity as a whole would be following that and not something that would be per region. Then it wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I would want institutions like United Nations or World Trade Organization to take cognizance and try to create global standards around these emerging technologies. So while this is a huge opportunity for business and societal innovation, it comes with its own set of dangers or problems as we are seeing, bias, or racial bias or other kinds of biases or employers taking unethical decisions based on AI recommendation. So there are so many problems which it can create. So I would recommend the global bodies to take cognizance and quickly come up to speed on the technology and institute global standards. Otherwise, each country will have their own regulation, and that will create a conflict on what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Exactly. So back to ethics in AI. How do you believe developers can take the necessary steps to ensure responsible deployment of those programs? Specifically, do you think that the developers' responsibility to proactively incorporate tools that can detect when AI has been utilized, especially when concerns like authorship, plagiarism, and fake news dissemination arise? Or alternatively, do you think it is time for us to change the way that we consider our approach to achieving the results? So what do I mean is, let's say that I'm at school and I see that just like, we have the calculators that people are using to do math, you think that AI is just going to be an extra tool that students are going to use. And the way that we are teaching our students should be the one to change because it's going to be used anyways. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about that, in having people using AI for their work and for the schools, and also people using somehow appropriating content that are not theirs, but they do belong to someone and is being used through AI. Like, how should we be navigating those topics?
Yeah, so lots of good questions there actually. So one is that AI is trained on global data sets, and these data sets may have been sourced from the internet, and maybe the correct copyright permission has not been protected, and so some companies are able to benefit from these AI models, right? But it was based on training data which was published by some other creators on the public domain. So again, it has to be dealt at a policy or at a organizational body levels, global bodies, whether it's World Trade Organization or the technological authorities in various countries. So they have to bring the creators and the tech companies together to the same table and really discuss copyright issues or plagiarism issues, because many creators and authors and writers and artists are feeling sort of left out of this, and their data has been used for training sophisticated AI models. and with no commensurate benefit flowing to the creator community or creator companies. So definitely an organizational effort is needed, because tech companies may not have an incentive there's the same thing with the news, where Google News and Yahoo News, they were aggregating information and the newspaper from newspapers and other news portals. And so in many countries they have agreed to share revenues with the news sources, because that's how these tech companies make money. So same thing applies here. It will have to be dealt at an association or a community association levels in various countries, or at least globally. And as to the education, many countries or universities tried to ban ChatGPT the moment it was launched, because students were easily doing their homework with it and so forth. But the thing is, technological revolution is inevitable, right? When internet came, we had similar fears. When mobile devices came, we had similar fears. So I guess we have to create awareness programs with universities, colleges, and schools, that it's really hard to ban these technologies. Students will go home and they will get exposed to it anyway. And so we might as well adapt them into education, and do some kind of innovation where these tools enable better education rather than disrupting education, I would say. So again, it needs a very deep connection between the educators and the tech companies, how these tools are used in a fruitful manner for enabling education, and not for bypassing good educational pedagogy.
Yes, definitely. And hearing you also reminds me of the music industry. That's a good benchmarking as well, right? Remember that when it got digital, all the players in the market were fighting music's getting digital and people actually having access to it. And it began as pirate music. And then we got Spotify solving that somehow and being able to pay people that were producing as well, and all the players around it. And it got a lot of fighting and legislation and for this business model to change. So now we have the solution out there. We have to run after all the safeguards and regulatory issues to be more fair to the market and to have a more fair play in there. And again, it has to be involving education anyways, right? And having schools, not only schools getting together and legislators understanding what has to be fixed. And I do like what you said regarding having maybe the UN more at play here to make sure that it's going to be followed globally somehow, right? Considering the potential impact on so many industries. So generative AI, it impacts every single industry somehow. And the potential automation of tasks all around. How do you foresee the program affecting job markets, creativity, and overall human experiencing?
So yeah, it is revolutionary technology. AI is a revolutionary technology, and it is a pivotal moment. So it's the internet moment when internet started, right? So it is an internet, and in fact, I would say all of us around the world, all the companies, all the teams, they are still experimenting with AI. What are the real use cases? It is very fascinating what ChatGPT and some of these algorithms are able to do. And indeed, the CEOs are feeling the pressure that they are not sure exactly how it will impact their industry or their company. So there's a mandate which is coming from top management in almost every company in the world now to explore generative AI and its implications on the business models of these companies. It's just a very exciting moment. It has opportunities and threats, and companies have to get their act together to make sure they don't get disrupted. They are able to capitalize on this in a positive way and not get disrupted by this technology. We are already seeing some disruption across education and few other industries where share prices have fallen because the business is beginning to get hurt. It's just an inevitable technological revolution. So some companies will be hurt, some will be winners. So it's all about who can upskill faster and start leveraging these technologies for business benefit and not be disrupted by it.
So when talking to companies, in your experience, because some companies, I would say that most companies are not mature enough, as much as you have the CEO's attention, you're still not mature enough to incorporate it somehow. So what's usually your advice to companies that are not in the maturity level, and how to start, how to begin this approach?
So my recommendation to companies and executive teams would be, reach out to the experts in their respective companies, or just global tech companies, and start working with them on how these technologies may impact. So it does need some deep upskilling and awareness sessions, and upskilling the company's employees in general, and the executive teams as well, board of directors also, and just start working with tech companies to see how these generative AI may come and disrupt them. So let's not get caught unaware. Let's be ready for what's coming, and let's just start working with the tech. Tech is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It will get better and better. And same thing we saw with the computers, with the PC, and the internet and the mobility. So that's inevitable. And so companies which can quickly get their head around it and start working with the tech vendors or the tech firms, will survive and thrive on this. But those who don't spend the time in awareness and upskilling may get disrupted.
So Vivek, we have witnessed the evolution of AI tools where explicit instructions are not required anymore. Like we have already the auto GPTs that they can now generate tasks to achieve the desired solutions themselves. So my question to you is, looking ahead, what other advancements do you anticipate, not only in the short term, but over the next decade? In what ways do you envision AI tools evolving and transforming all those industries? And what potential implications might those advancements have on our society and our day-to-day?
Yeah, so good question. So we already see new technology, it's kind of changing every week. So it's coming at a blinding pace, actually. And so we see things like Action Transformer, which will permit workflow automation, self-prompting technology within those workflows. So you can just give a high-level requirement, and this technology will go and create a website for you and deploy it and monitor it and so forth. So incredible new technologies coming every week, and recently Adobe launched a very interesting generative AI within the Adobe Photoshop. Right, so we are seeing, so in the Photoshop now they have generative AI, and when the demo was quite amazing. So it's moving too fast. It's hard to predict, but I'll take some guesses. So I think a lot of chat, almost every application in the world is up for a sort of a chat style interface, right, or a co-pilot situation. So we see almost every application will have some kind of chat UI, maybe, so there's a big use case for where people want to talk to the application, or just chat with it rather than clicking on buttons and filling fields and so forth. So everything may get some kind of chat interface possibly. We see a lot of Copilot kind of solutions. Windows just announced Windows Copilot. So that will be like a guided experience for the application users in everything we have been seeing so far. And then we also think a lot of robotics is around the corner, where a lot of hardware robots may be around, and they will be conversing with people. And so I think the human society is going to have to integrate with the digital, digital personas, whether software or hardware, situations. So it's very exciting. It's very unpredictable. It's hard to say. Driverless car, I just experienced the Tesla self-driving vehicle in the US. It was a mind-boggling experience for me. And so, it drives on its own. So a lot of automation is coming, industrial automation, self-driving vehicles, robotics, chat and co-pilot interfaces, workflow automation. So it's, as I said, it's both an opportunity and a threat. So individuals, companies, and nations which can quickly upskill and start adopting it will be at a benefit. But those who don't upskill quickly could be disrupted or could feel a problem.
Yeah. What's the fact that there's no way back, right? It's evolution. And we need to pay attention. We need to get informed. We need to get educated and just see how we can make the best of it and make sure that whichever safeguards needs to be in place, that we're working on that collectively, right?
Absolutely. I agree completely with that. Yes.
Awesome. Vivek, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I think it's a super important discussion, and that's just the beginning. So thank you. I wish you the best. And if you have any other last message that you want to give to your audience, I'm going to leave the final comments for you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Maria. So I would just say that, it's very exciting times for us in the AI industry, and we are here to serve and not necessarily kill jobs or create bias systems. So we want to work with the communities, with nations, and with organizations and the governments and regulators to create responsible AI, and we hope that it will be used in a societal benefit way, and not for hurting the society in any which ways, right? So that will be our goal. And we do consider it as a fiduciary duty on part of the AI and data science industry to make sure that happens. And we are very excited about the possibilities while we have to take care of these peripheral factors as we go along the way. It is very exciting, and thanks for having me here.
Thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned.
Future Hacker. Life. Path. Future.